Okay, well, hi everyone. I wasn't sure what I wanted to, talk about this time. I went through a few different topics. I even started writing down notes and everything because I was gonna talk about something else. And then I was like, wait, if I had to write down that many notes, it's probably because I'm not knowledgeable enough, on the topic to make a video about it yet. I say yet because it was about a book and it was about a specific genre of books, and I haven't read enough books in that genre to be talking about that specific book, So I put it aside for now, and I'll just come back to it. I ended up just thinking about, this subject here. How I got back into reading in my 20s, how I just, started reading again at the age of, I was 22, 23. It was 3 years ago. Basically, I was a huge reader as a kid, and I couldn't tell you what happened, probably social media or something, but I stopped reading literally from reading like a whole book in a day to nothing in years, except for school required readings. But then with the rise of TikTok, after the pandemic, the rise of book talk, I did fall into this never-ending hole of just book people. And my first year I read 8 books, which it's not that much. I already read 7 this year. I'm about to finish my 8th. We are, I don't know the date, hold on, I have my computer here, the 13th of February. So it's already a huge improvement and I'm really proud of that. But I'll just go over basically what got me into reading again and what kept me into reading it until now, because I could have, let's say I had the 8 books I read, I disliked all of them, I would have stopped. I would have been like, okay, this is not for me. So what I did is I started with books I knew I would enjoy, not necessarily books that would, stimulate me intellectually. What I mean by that is, What I mean by that is that I read young adult fiction, even maybe teenage fiction. You're gonna laugh, but I read 3 out of 5 at the time of the Percy Jackson books. The first, the second, and the third, obviously, because I found the second one at a thrift store and I was like, you know what, I loved the films as a kid, I should read the books. And I really enjoyed them. They were fun, they were quick to read, they were cute. I like Greek mythology, or I learned that I like Greek mythology but while reading those books. So it was actually a great segue into what I'm reading now, which is a lot different than what I read my first year getting back into reading. So I'll just go through quickly what I read. Hold on, I should have prepared the book beforehand. Give me a second. Alright, I'm back. There is one book I can't show you because I gave it away because I didn't like it. But the 7 other ones I still own. I'm not going to show you the Percy Jackson ones because what's the point? But these are the 4 other books I read. I hope you guys can see it. I think you can see it. Anyways, in order, I read I read the first Percy Jackson book first, and then I read Where the Crawdads Sing. They've since made a book. They've since made a movie. Apparently it already was out when I bought this. This was good. This was okay. I remember liking the book more than the movie. This is basically a story about this, I forgot what the main character's name is, the marsh girl. She lives in a marsh. I'm just gonna read y'all the back. For years, rumors of the marsh girl have haunted Barkley Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. So in late 1969, when a handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect, that's her name, Clarke, the so-called marsh girl. But Kaya, or Kia, I'm not sure, is not what they say. Sensitive and intelligent, she has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the gulls and lessons in the sand. Then the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved. When two young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life until the unthinkable happens. So yeah, it's kind of a murder mystery mixed with a love story, because if I remember correctly, we do go back and forth between between after the death of Chase Andrews and before the death of Chase Andrews, and for that reason it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. I don't think the movie was good, but hey, you can't have it all, can you? But yeah, so at the time I gave this 4 stars. I think if I read it again, since my taste since then has changed, it would probably be closer to like a 3.5. But still, I think it was a good way to reintroduce myself to reading, because it was an easy read and an enjoyable read. So I'm gonna put this back down, and then after that I read another Percy Jackson book, and after that I read The Silent Patient. I remember buying this at the bookstore, and the person that checked out, you know, the book for me, whoa, there's a face. Oh my god, I never realized there was a face. Anyways, told me how good this was, and I was like, oh my god, hell yeah, that's what I want. Basically it's about this woman who's, oh my god, who was it? Her husband, I think? It's been 3 years, guys. Yeah, her husband dies. She shoots him. It says so right here on the back of the book. She shoots him, and so because of that she ends up in like a mental institution, something like that. Yeah, a psychiatric unit in North London. And the story basically, again, kind of like the crawdads saying, goes from before the murder to after the murder, and it goes back and forth, and kind of learn what happened, or basically she doesn't say a word, like she doesn't talk at all, so it's hard to know why she did what she did, because she's been silent this whole time, and it's been years. I don't remember how much time passed since, but it's been so long, and she has never said a word, so she's never been, you know, jailed for anything, because we think, okay, she has like psychological issues. And this psychotherapist kind of talks us through why this woman did what she did. And again, it's a murder mystery, it's a thriller, and it's really good. The story is really good, the end is great. I have nothing bad to say about this book. I don't remember if the writing was like anything special, but yeah, I mean, yeah. And then, okay, for my more like difficult reads, because I started with easy stuff, okay? I had no idea what I was getting into. I found a romance / murder mystery, and then I found just a murder thriller story, whatever. Then me being uncultivated at this point. Then for some reason, I don't know where my brain went, and saw 1984. Ooh, yes, read this. I somehow ended up picking up 1984 by George Orwell, and let me tell you, this has changed my life. I think about this book every week, every month. I'm not gonna say every day because that's another book that I think about every day, but I think about this so often. You would think that it's a religious text, like, but yeah. If you don't know George Orwell, 1984, it's the story of, it's a dystopian future where the government controls language, controls culture, controls the future, controls the past, the present, controls every single aspect of your life. And we follow the story of this worker. He works for the government, and he has to basically rewrite history so that, you know, the people believe that it's always been this way, that it's the only way. And there's a tiny bit of a love story in here, but it's, I wouldn't say it's the most important part of it. I recommend everyone to read this. Everyone should read this. This should be a mandatory read for everybody. Are we kidding? This is one of the best books I've ever written. This is right up there with Crime and Punishment, in my opinion. Like, I gave this a 4 at the time. This took me so long to finish because I thought it was so boring, but it's after finishing it that I realized what I had just read. Like, this was eye-opening. It was like learning through text what will happen if we don't do something about it now, because we already see it happen. Like, the events of this book in real life, we see them rewriting history, we see them rewriting current history. Like, it's not even the past only, it's the now too. And it says here on the back, who controls the past controls the future, who controls the present controls the past. It has never been truer. Highly recommend. And as different as this is from the other 2 books I had started the year with, I started reading again in like August, so past half the year, but it's like, it's crazy that this managed to find me. Forever grateful that I read this when I read it. I would reread it. And I love George Orwell. Like, Animal Farm is another banger of his. Again, you probably know it, maybe you read it in high school or in university, but I don't own the book, so I can't show it to you, but like, it's a bit thinner, and it also is dystopian, but in a different way. Regardless, this kept me hooked. And then I was down for a challenge after that. Like, I had just read like something revolutionary to me, so I went in, and my copy is beat, but I went in and I read Dune, whole 600 pages. My friend at the time, well, she's still my friend, but my roommate at the time, she was like, no one ever finishes Dune, it's apparently one of the hardest books to read, blah 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 blah. And that motivated me so bad, like so much. I finished this in less than a month, but I didn't understand it. This was before the first film came out. I know it says now a major motion picture, but like, the movie hadn't been out yet, or had it, or maybe like the first movie was out. Yes, I think the first movie was out, but obviously not the second one. So I understood the first 2 books, because if you don't know, or if you're not familiar with Dune, I'll show you here an example. Here we see book 3. There's 3 books in here. So there's book 1, book 2, and book 3, and they're all separating different marking events in the story. So the first 2 books are the first movie, and book 3 is the latest one that came out last year. Yeah, when I read this, I gave it 5 stars, but then I reread it last year and I'm giving it 4. I won't elaborate, but it's still a banger. Like, I read the second one, just as good. I have yet to read all the other ones, but it's coming one day. One day I will. But yeah, I'll just give you a real like a small recap in case you haven't heard of Dune or haven't seen the movie, or haven't read the book. It's about this prophecy about this being that is supposed to save the world, the galaxy, the universe, basically. And we learn throughout this story about who this savior is, and it's really a book about false prophets, but you don't know that until you've read the second book. Well, you do if you read in between the lines. Oops. Anyways, most people know this already, it's not news, but really good. Easy to read if you've seen the movie, hard to read if you haven't, because there's a lot of words that just don't exist. Like, he makes up a lot of stuff. This is sci-fi, so it's duh, but also there's a lot of characters, but there isn't like a lot of, there's a dictionary at the end that tells you what each word means. You can see it's not just a page, like it's a few pages long. So yeah, like I would say these 4 books, although anyways, these 4 books are what got me back into reading, along with the Percy Jackson series. Out of these 4, I wouldn't say that the Crawdads Sing, Where the Crawdads Sing was the most memorable one, but definitely these 3 were. I still remember the whole book. I think the government in here wiped my memory, because I remember like bits and fragments, but I know the whole gist of it. Dune, I remember, it's fine. I've seen the movies like so many times. And I want to say that's pretty much what got me back into reading. Now, what kept me into reading is another story. It's a different story, and that story is told by this book. Give me a second. That book is Crime and Punishment, Dostoyevksy. My copy has seen better days, but it holds up, and I love it. I love it. That's my son, that's my child, that's my daughter, that's my baby. Like, I think this is the book I think about every single day. I think there's not a day that goes by where I don't think, oh my god, what would Raskolnikov do? Like, what would he do? What would he think? How would he act? Where would he go? Who would he talk to? Like, every day. Sometimes, like, it's, oh, I thought it stopped snowing. Wait. No, it's still snowing, but it's very light. Like, a day like today, this is peak Raskolnikov. Like, if it was rain instead, oof. Except I don't murder people. I know better. If I need money, I'ma just find another way. There's no reason to kill people. Anyways, this book, and now this is controversial, but this book has inspired many, and nobody is able to do it just as good. Now I'm gonna go off topic for a little bit, but this book is a poor, sorry to say, it's a poor attempt at mimicking greatness. Guys, like, are we serious? I still like the book. Obviously, I've tapped it a few times, great quotes and whatnot. It even does mention Dostoyevsky in here. Give me a second. Here, page 310. Henry gave him a fishy look. Calm down, he said. I don't know where you get all these Dostoyevsky sorts of ideas. Obviously this is trying to do what Crime and Punishment does so well, and it's still good, but it's nowhere near the king, the queen, the mastermind. Okay, enough.
Must do enough.
This I read for book club. Discussion was interesting. I ended up watching like a 15-minute video on YouTube about how this is the best book ever, and although the girl in the video, if I find it I'll write it down here, brought some good points, not enough people are comparing the two, in my opinion. Like this should be a real topic of discussion, and it's not. So I'm bringing it up. If anyone wants me to do a comparison, I will do a comparison. It might not be good, but I will do a comparison. Okay, let me put this away. Yeah, so speaking of, why this is the book that kept me into reading is because I learned that I love classical or literary prose. I love when a sentence is beautiful and has big words that I don't know. Like that's what I love. And so that's how I learned that I prefer classics over more recent. I have the word in French, but I don't have it in English. Releases. Another thing that kept me into literature and reading is science fiction. I think you can see it. I don't know how the pile of books over there in the corner behind my mug, the Eden series. It's a sci-fi series. It's literally only available on Amazon. That was before I stopped buying on Amazon, but anyways, really good series, really good sci-fi, hits all the marks for me. And then I have a bunch of other sci-fi books scattered all around, but I would say that's what kept me reading sci-fi and classics. Other examples of classics I read that year, so that was 2023, The Time Machine, The Myth of Sisyphus by Camus, Slaughterhouse-Five, which I didn't really like, but actually I didn't like it at all, but whatever. Animal Farm. What else? The Giver kind of counts. The Alchemist, that was a reread because I had read it in high school. Pride and Prejudice I did not like, but another classic. And then okay, those two, the next two are not classics, but they are 5 stars. We have Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and we have Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Yeah, those two are really good. Project Hail Mary and Piranesi, they're both, they're not classical literature, but Piranesi kind of reads like some classical novels. Project Hail Mary does not, but it's so good. It has one of the cutest, most lovable, most endearing characters I've ever read about. I will never forget it. Can't wait for the movie to come out to see how they personify his character, if that's the right term. Yeah, lots of good 5-star reads in 2023. Yeah, some of my favorite books I've read so far have been in 2023. This year still no 5-star. Oh no, that's not true. Carmilla was a 5-star. Maurice was almost a 5-star by A.M. Forster. It's a 5-star. I'm gonna round it up. I almost made a video about that book. Maybe soon. Maybe next time. I hope this is interesting. Would I watch this? Would Raskolnikov watch this? He would. He has nothing else to do. He just sits in his room and stares at the ceiling like, oh, if he had an iPhone, oh my god, would he be an iPad kid? Sorry, that's a murder I'm talking about. Anyway, this is my favorite author, by the way. I'm trying to go through all of his books, novels, short stories, everything. I have The Idiot over here. I have The Brothers Karamazov at the top. I have White Nights somewhere. I have Notes from Underground over there. I haven't read The Idiot and The Brothers Karamazov yet, but soon. Notes from Underground is another banger, another 5-star. I just love existentialism. I could make a whole video about existentialism in literature because it's more like it's in books more often than you would think. Anyways, let me not get started, but yeah. And then there's some other books like in 2024, 2023 that I read because I thought I would enjoy them and I didn't, and that's okay. That's okay. That didn't stop me from reading. Like, it happens. You get some books that you just don't align with, and you move on to the next. It's the same for movies. It's the same for TV shows. It's the same for YouTube video. You start it, after 5 minutes somebody says something you don't agree with. Oh, you might just exit out of the video. Like, what can you do? But yeah, if you're trying to get back into reading and all you've done so far is watch these videos online of people buying books and reading books and telling you about what's good, what's not good, don't just listen to their opinion. Make your own. Because if I had kept reading TikTok books after 2022, I probably would not have found my favorite genres, and I would probably be reading more books of this style, if that makes sense. Like, I would just keep on reading books that others like that I might not like. So expand your horizons, read out of your comfort zone sometimes, thrift books so that you don't feel like you spent too much on them only to not like them. Yeah, most of what I own right now has been thrifted, or I tried my best to just found the cheapest option I could find. Like, I bought Dracula the other day for $10 instead of like 20 something usually if it was like the Penguin edition or something. So I just, you gotta make sacrifices. I love me a good Penguin edition, but sometimes I can't justify the price. Like, this says this was $22, okay? That's fine. The book is huge. That's fine. But sometimes I see a skinny book like this and it's also $22 and the author is dead. Who's getting all the money? Anyways, I really love this book. So on that note, me and Raskolnikov wish you a great day, great evening, great night, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.